Welcome to Blood, Guts, and Booze.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kendrah. This is a paranormal and true crime podcast here to frighten you and make you question the world that we live in. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this. Listener discretion is advised, as these podcasts are not for the faint of heart, nor are they PG. Ho, 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 and welcome back to week 2 of Deck the Hells.
Ho, 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 ho.
Now, I am giving you a fair warning before we start. I am just getting over a cold, and it seems that every time that I start to lose my voice. So we are also recording today for today, next week, and our Christmas episode. So I am really sorry if my voice sounds like crap, but we're doing all three.
Pre-recording because, well, Christmas season, we don't want to work over the holidays, you know.
Yes.
So if Kendrah sounds like poo in the next few episodes, that would be wise, though. She's also tested herself, and she is negative for COVID, so it's not COVID.
Yes, I just have a cold, and it sucks. So anyways, this week, I will be traveling to West Virginia to tell you... Oh, my voice squeaked there.
Ooh, puberty squeak.
I'm finally hitting puberty, guys. In my late 20s, I'm almost 30. But I'm going to tell you all about my second Christmas crime, the mysterious case of the Sodder family.
You know what? Before you start, West Virginia, real fucked up place. I've already done a few cryptids from West Virginia, and like, what the fuck? That place is like a Pandora's box of like paranormal shit.
Well, maybe by the end of this, you might have some paranormal theories.
Ooh, I wonder if they're in a vortex.
It's a pretty mysterious case. Have you heard this one before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So, as always, let's start with some background. George Sodder was born with the name Giorgio Soddu in Tula, Sardinia, Italy, in 1985. He immigrated to the United States when he was 13 years old, and he was with an older brother or friend, it goes back and forth, who went home as soon as he and George had cleared customs at Ellis Island. George eventually found work on the railroads in Pennsylvania, carrying water and other supplies to the workers, and after a few years, he got a more permanent job as a driver in Smithers, West Virginia. Then, a few years after that, he started his own trucking company. Soon after, he met and married Jenny Cipriani, a storekeeper's daughter who had also immigrated from Italy in her childhood. The couple then settled down just outside Fayetteville, West Virginia, which had a large population of Italian immigrants. In 1923, they had their first child, and they would have 9 more.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, they got real busy. So George's business was excelling, and they became, quote, one of the most respected middle-class families around. There was just one problem. George was very opinionated, especially when it came to talking about Benito Mussolini. He wasn't shy about his dislike of him, and it led to many arguments between him and other members of the Italian community. Now, Benito Mussolini was basically this Italian leader who almost started a world war.
Oh, shit.
And then eventually became buddies with Hitler.
Ew.
Essentially, he was a shitty guy, and being totally honest, when I tried to read a bit about him, I actually fell asleep.
You boring piece of shit.
He is so boring, and I was telling Ron that, and he's like, yeah, Mussolini's a pretty boring dude. So anyways, in 1943, the Sodders had their last child, Sylvia. The following year, Mussolini was executed. George's criticism of the late dictator had left some hurt feelings in the community. In October 1945, is when things start slowly getting a little bit weirder for this family. So a visiting life insurance salesman was rejected by George. He then told George that his house would, quote, go up in smoke and your children are going to be destroyed, attributing this to, quote, the dirty marks that you have been making about Mussolini.
Ew.
Another visitor of the house told George that his fuse boxes would cause a fire someday. George found this very odd, as he had just had the home rewired when he put in an electric stove, and the electric company had told him that everything was good.
Oh no.
Lastly, the older boys had noticed a strange car parked along the main highway through town, and the people inside had been watching the younger Sodder children as they returned home from school.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Now, time for the reason we're here. On Christmas Eve, in 1945, the Sodder family had a wonderful, happy celebration. Marion, the oldest daughter, had been working and surprised 3 of her sisters with gifts.
Oh, that's so nice of her.
12-year-old Martha, 8-year-old Jenny, and 5-year-old Betty were so excited that they asked their mom if they could stay up past their usual bedtime to play with their new toys.
Oh, that's awesome.
So at 10 p.m., Jenny told the children that they could stay up later as long as 14-year-old Maurice and 9-year-old Louis remembered to put the cows in and feed the chickens before going to bed. Seems fair. Do your chores and you
I
can
was
stay
going
up
to
a
say,
little
make
later.
sure your chores are done.
And then you can stay up a little bit later because it's Christmas, you know. So George and the 2 eldest boys, 23-year-old John and 16-year-old George Jr., were already asleep in bed. Jenny reminded the children of their chores, including turning out the lights, closing the curtains, and locking the door. She then took 2-year-old Sylvia with her, and they went to bed together. The phone rang at 12:30 a.m. Jenny woke up and went to answer it. A woman was on the phone, and Jenny could hear a lot of people talking in the background and what sounded like clinking glasses. The woman then asked Jenny for someone that Jenny didn't recognize. Jenny told the woman that she had the wrong number. The woman then laughed a very strange laugh and hung up.
Click.
Basically.
I do a really good evil laugh. I try.
I can when I don't sound like this.
Fun fact, if anybody can remember our very first Canadian bonus episode, the evil laugh at the beginning, it's the only time I ever did put that intro at the beginning because I laugh every time I listen to it, but the evil laugh is my voice, like, alterated, and it cracks me up every time. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah, I noticed that you stopped putting that intro on the Canadian ones. I keep meaning to ask you about it, and then I keep forgetting.
But I do a good laugh, though. But it cracks me up every time, though.
So, Jenny then noticed, after she hung up the phone, that the house was really quiet, but the lights were still on. Marion was asleep on the couch, but the curtains were also not closed, and the door was left unlocked by Jenny. But Jenny just assumed that the children had gone up to their bedroom and went to bed. She then shut down the house properly and returned to bed. As she was drifting back to sleep, she heard what sounded like an object land on the roof and then roll down it. Not long after is when Jenny woke back up to the smell of smoke. It was approximately 1:30 a.m. on Christmas Day. She got up and found a fire in George's office. This is also the same room as the telephone wires and the fuse box.
Ooh.
Jenny then woke up George, and they escaped the house, along with John, George Jr., Sylvia, and Marion. Once outside, they began screaming at the house, hoping to wake the other children that were asleep in the attic. They were unable to go to the children, as the stairs were then on fire. George discovered this by trying to re-enter the house by breaking a downstairs window. He sliced his arm in the process. He saw that the entire downstairs was engulfed with flames at this point, so he decided to try and enter the house upstairs to save the other children. George went to the back of the house to climb the ladder that was always propped up onto the house. The ladder was missing.
Oh, no.
George then decided that he would drive one of his 2 trucks up against the house and climb on top of it to get to his children, but neither truck would start. Both had been working perfectly fine the day before, but now they wouldn't start. George was panicking. I mean, what parents wouldn't be?
Oh, I get it.
His last attempt was to try and scoop water from the rain barrel, but it was frozen. Marion sprinted to a neighbor's home and called the Fayetteville Fire Department, but no one answered.
What the fuck?
A neighbor who saw the blaze made a call from a nearby tavern, and no one answered. The neighbor then drove into town and tracked down the fire chief, F.J. Morris. F.J. then initiated the town's version of a fire alarm called a phone tree, where basically he calls one firefighter, then that firefighter calls another, then another, and so on and so on.
Okay.
The fire department was only 2.5 miles or just under 4 kilometers away from the house, yet they didn't arrive until 8 a.m. when the house was already reduced to a smoking pile of ash.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Once fire and police arrived, they stated that the children must have died in the fire. The ashes and debris were combed through and not a single bone was found.
Huh.
Yet they still determined that the children perished in the fire, stating that the fire... What's that banging? I mean, I can hear Levy barking, but I can hear, like, banging. Couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the ghost again.
That was weird.
So, anyways, yet they still determined that the children perished in the fire, stating that the fire must have just been hot enough to fully cremate them.
I mean, that could be possible.
Yeah. The cause of the fire was determined to be faulty wiring.
Mm-hmm. I was suspicious.
George had just had the wiring checked earlier that month, and it had been deemed safe. Also, the Christmas lights on the home were still on at the beginning of the fire, which wouldn't have happened if the wiring was fucked up.
Nope.
When the county's coroner issued the death certificates, they stated that the children died of fire or suffocation without any remains found. George and Jenny were obviously not satisfied with this answer, though, especially since there was zero trace of any human remains found. They started to recall all those weird encounters that they had actually had leading up to the fire.
Because you said this is what, in 45, right? 45. So, yeah, this is way too early for them to, like, even test the ashes to see if it's human, like, if there's human remains in it. Because I'm sure, like, now they have some sort of test that would be able to figure that out. But, like, back in 45, like, yeah, that would be so hard to figure out.
Well, just wait. I'll get into that, because there is a way to do some of that.
Okay.
So, Jenny then began to do her own experiments. She took chicken bones, beef joints, and pork bones and burned them. Every time, she was left with charred bones. There was appliances that were burnt but still identifiable in the basement, but still no bones.
Well, yeah, because I was going to say, even being cremated, it's a super high temperature.
Yeah, well, she also found out from an employee at a crematorium that bones remain even after bodies have been burned for 2 hours at 2,000 degrees, which is way hotter than your average house fire. And the house burnt down in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, where were the children? Where were their children?
Aliens.
Okay.
You should have known I was going to say that.
I should have known.
It was coming.
I should have known.
It's me. It was coming.
No one's gonna know. No one will know. Things just kept getting stranger, though. A telephone repairman told the Sodders that their lines had appeared to be cut, not burnt. And if lines were cut, then how was it deemed faulty wiring?
This buttermilk is sour.
Another witness then came forward and informed them that just before the fire, They had seen a man taking a, quote, block and tackle used for removing car engines. Is this why the trucks wouldn't start?
Probably.
Then one day when the family was visiting the site, Sylvia found a hard rubber object in the yard. George concluded that it was a napalm, quote, pineapple bomb. Is this what that thud on the roof was?
Possibly.
Also, the missing ladder was found hidden in an embankment nearby. Why?
Yeah, it's not like it was super windy, though.
A local bus driver claimed that he had seen people throwing, quote, fireballs at the home that night. Is this what the rubber piece that Sylvia found was?
Maybe it could have been, maybe it was covered in like gas or something and it got whipped at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like,
Molotov cocktails?
yes, but like
I knew
in
that's
a ball.
what you were trying to say.
But in a ball form.
Yeah. So then started the sightings of the children. A woman claimed that she had seen the children in a car driving away on the night of the fire. Another witness claimed that she saw the children along with 4 adults in a hotel. A waitress also claimed that she had served the children breakfast on Christmas morning. Jenny and George then went to the police and demanded to have a further investigation into the fire and their missing children. The police refused, claiming that the coroner's inquiry determined that no crime had been committed.
And neighbor Olivia from Blood, Guts, and Booze saw a bright light flash above the house right before the fire was done. People thought it was fireballs, but it was aliens.
You weren't even a thought in 1945.
Time travel.
Okay. The Sodders were not ready to give up, though. They fully believed that the children had been kidnapped and that the fire was a way to cover up the abduction.
Makes sense.
In 1947, George and Jenny sent a letter about the case to the FBI. They received a letter from none other than J. Edgar Hoover himself. And it said, although I would like to be of service, the matter related appears to be of a local character and does not come within the investigative jurisdiction of this bureau. Hoover's agents stated that they would help if they got permission from local authorities, but the Fayetteville police and fire declined the offer. I mean, if you got nothing to hide, why not let them look?
Exactly.
Just saying. We got nothing to hide. Come and look.
That's why I'm saying this buttermilk is sour, man.
The Sodders then hired a private investigator to help them search for their children and finally solve the case. His name was C. Tinsley. Tinsley discovered something pretty sketchy. He learned that the insurance salesman that had threatened George was actually a member of the coroner's jury that deemed the fire accidental.
Oh, you motherfucker.
He also learned from a minister that the police chief had discovered a heart on the property.
What?
After some pressure, Morris led them to the box that the heart was in. Morris is the police chief. It was deemed beef liver.
Okay.
And it was then determined that the liver was not burnt at the home, and it was placed there after the fire in hopes that some human remains would stop the family from pursuing more answers.
Just a random beef liver.
They were hoping that they would go, oh, you found a heart, we'll stop. You found our kids.
They should have thrown,
Here, shut up.
an actual animal heart. It would make more sense.
So over the years, there were many more sightings, leads, questions, yet no answers. Governor Oki L. Patterson and State Police Superintendent W.E. Burchett told the Sodders that their search was, quote, hopeless, and declared the case closed. This didn't stop them, though. George traveled all over the country searching for his children, following, every possible lead that he could.
Oh, I get it. I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, he went all the way from Texas to New York. The Sodders also erected a giant billboard near the site of their former home. It had photos of all 5 children, and it announced originally a $5,000 reward, but it was raised to $10,000 for their safe return. In 1968, Jenny went to check the mail, and she found a letter addressed to her. It was postmarked Kentucky, but it had no return address. Inside was a photo of a man in his mid-20s. On the back was written, Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. I Lil Boys A90132. The last number may have also been a 5, and the photo did resemble their son.
Okay.
The Sodders then hired another private investigator to go to Kentucky, but they never heard from him again.
Oh, no. I'm guessing it probably was their son, and somebody took out the PI. Maybe.
Or they paid him off to just go away.
Mm-hmm.
George sadly died a year later, and Jenny passed away in 1989, and the billboard was finally taken down after her death. The Sodder children and grandchildren continued to come up with theories about what happened that night, and little Sylvia is now the only living survivor of that night, and she is 77 years old.
The only surviving member that they know of.
Yes. Quote. But I mean,
Dun,
she
dun,
was
dun.
2 at the time, and
Yeah.
she's 77, and the next oldest was like 5. So I mean, they're
I get it, yeah.
a couple of them probably likely, even if they did survive that night, are dead now because I mean they're old.
I get it.
Yeah. I do have like a little bit of trivia. So for most of George's life, he rarely spoke of why he actually left Italy. The second oldest son was not home because he was overseas fighting in World War II.
Okay.
It allegedly took so long for the fire department to arrive because the fire chief could not drive the truck, and it was a holiday.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
A fucking house on fire with kids inside of it.
Yeah. 4 days after the fire, George had the home bulldozed, and he filled the remaining plot with dirt to make a memorial garden for his children.
Oh, that's awesome.
During a later excavation of the site, though, human remains were found. But the remains were of someone older than the oldest child missing.
Okay.
Jenny only wore black since the fire as a sign of mourning.
Oh.
Another theory is that the Italian Mafia took the children.
Mm-hmm.
And the family is mentioned in several books and articles. So my question is, what do you all think really happened on that snowy Christmas morning?
Well, it would make a lot of sense if it was the Italian Mafia, because they'd probably be able to hide, like, they're able to hide things probably better than other people, because I'm sure they are very wealthy and, you know, slide that manila folder across the table with the money inside and just be like, here you go.
And you know, some theories is like maybe that's why he left Italy, and because of the mob.
That's very possible. He could have, and that could be why this happened, right? And maybe taking his kids was his form of, or their form of payment. I could see it. I mean, there's a lot of cases that are very similar to that include the Mafia, right? Where it's, oh, well, you owe us something, so we're gonna just take what's ours now.
And see, to me, it reminds me a lot of, like, my kind of theory is that it's more like the Black Donnellys, where the whole town kind of was, like, all kind of in on it.
Oh, yeah,
And,
for sure.
like, it's because he was, you know, dissing Mussolini, so they all just kind of, like, ganged up on the one family, and, like, the town got away with it, sort of, kind of like the Donnellys.
Maybe the members of the town were part of the Mafia.
Perhaps. I mean,
if he was dissing the boss, right? Like, maybe they were offended for a reason, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if they were part of the Mafia and they're like, you know what? We've got to take this guy and his family out. You know what? We're going to take his kids just to make him suffer even more.
there's lots of theories that goes on about this family, and we'd love to hear your opinions. But anyways, what do you have for week 2 of Deck the Hells so that I can rest my throat for a few minutes?
I'm gonna give a little bit of a trigger warning now, because I do have to mention blackface at some point in this case, and I apologize in advance.
Okie dokie.
Because I was not aware of that when I started the case, And I was already too far done it when I was like, well, there's no going back now. So I apologize in advance if anyone, to anybody, because we are not trying to be offensive at all. This is just a very, very old Christmas tradition in France. So, yeah. Or I guess in Europe. Kind of France. Well, it is France, yeah. But you'll find out why. But so all over the world there are different versions of Santa and his little helpers.
Yes, I discussed that last week.
And like here in North America, we have Santa has elves, right? And last week we talked about Grzelbeard and the Yule Lads and the Christmas cat over in Iceland. Well, this week we're going to be heading to like northeastern France, where I'm going to discuss their Christmas folklores. Now, Kendrah, do you know any folklores from like France area or even just like that part of Europe?
Papa Noel. I know that one, but I mean I mentioned that in my case.
Well, I'll mention it a little bit in mine because Papa Noel is
Basically
pretty much
Santa.
Saint Nicholas, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be discussing Père Fouettard. I am so sorry if I mispronounced that. I know I'm Canadian and we should speak French, but we all ain't fucking good at it, and yeah, it is what it is.
I think I speak better gibberish than I do French.
Yeah. Yep. Me too.
Pig Latin.
Some of these stories go back as far as the 4th century, which was January 1st of 301 CCCI or AD to December 31st, 400 CD or AD. The www.oxfordreference.com has an entire timeline of actually what happened in this time period. It was actually really fascinating. There's like Roman wars and a whole bunch of crazy shit that goes on. It's actually pretty cool.
When I did Santa, I got a lot of my information off the Smithsonian.
Yes, I did get a little
cool.
bit of my information from there as well, along with a bunch of other links that will be, like always, referenced on our blog. And these lores also, like I said, because they've gone back so far, they were around in the Middle Ages, making Père Fouettard / Father Whipper, by the way. Whipper, like, whoosh, whoosh, yeah. Part of Christmas traditions in North and Northeastern France for a very long time. Like, very, very long time.
Okie dokie.
I mean, the year 301 is a long time ago. Wowza.
Feels like yesterday.
Yeah, right?
I remember the Roman wars. What a sad Tuesday that was.
You're so funny.
I know, right? Oh, that was so cracky. Oh.
So, Père Fouettard is only celebrated where St. Nicholas is celebrated, or Papa Noel. Mm-hmm. December 5th is called St. Nicholas Day for most of Europe. St. Nicholas represents repentance and forgiveness.
Which is interesting because December 6th is like the other St. Nicholas Day.
We will actually discuss what both days are in my Christmas case.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Papa Noel walks around with his donkey and hands gifts out to the children who have been good on Christmas Eve, right? Right? That's how this story goes.
Yay.
And he has the help of his good pal, Père Fouettard. And Père Fouettard has a bit of a dark past.
Oh no.
Yep. He has a very menacing and hoodlum appearance with a red or black beard, very messy hair. Like he has all black robes or clothes. He carries a whip or a martinet, which is a multi-tail whip. I had to Google what that was because I was like, the fuck is a martinet?
Kinky.
Yeah, right? That's what I thought. I was like, damn.
Some BDSM shit before it was cool.
Right?
Before
In the
50
year
Shades.
301.
Before 50 Shades made it cool.
This is some Game of Thrones shit.
Mmm.
He also has chains and jingle bells. Jingle, jingle.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
I thought you were going to sing for a second for some reason. And he also has a burlap sack.
It's from It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. It's my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. That's my favorite Christmas movie, guys. Not some, like, horror-y, scary thing. It's a black and white movie.
My favorite Christmas movie, like, as an adult, only because it's funny and I'm basic as fuck, Elf.
Oh, well, yeah.
My favorite childhood Christmas movie is Annabelle's Wish.
I don't know if I know that one.
It's about a cow that wants to become a reindeer, and she does.
Mine's the magic
And she
snowman.
talks.
Mine's the magic snowman. This little girl's sick in bed, and the snowman outside apparently becomes magic, and then they go on this adventure.
Oh, I love it. Well, in my fun facts, I'm going to mention a TV show that you probably watched, and you'll be like...
My child is finally old enough, too, that this year I'm planning on introducing, like, Rudolph and Frosty and, like, all those, like, claymation-y type
Yes.
movies.
The
And I'm gonna be
claymation,
like,
yeah.
watch Charlie Brown and his stupid Christmas tree because it's wonderful and we love it.
Mine's kind of like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree because I can only have so many ornaments on it because cats.
Well, I introduced the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown this year, so
Oh, yes.
I plan on introducing the Charlie Brown Christmas and being like, you love this.
So some accounts of his outfit actually have been the exact same as St. Nicholas, but all black.
Interesting.
So he almost looks like his little shadow, right?
Ooh, that's neat. Like a Peter Pan type vibe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Well, duh. Of course I would.
Yeah, of course he would. But his job is to punish or kidnap the bad children, while Papa Noel is gifting the good kids with gifts and candies.
Okay. I feel like that vibe is a lot in, like...
It's
these
like
types of
0 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it gets even worse because parents would tell their children if they were bad, Père Fouettard would spank them. He would come over and spank them. And we are not condoning spanking children by all means, but like, what the fuck? But as the times have evolved, the spanking of children part has kind of disappeared in that tradition over the years.
Now that it's more of a, we don't spank kids.
Yes.
Because it's bad to abuse your children.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are a few different stories that are told about Père Fouettard, depending on the area that you are in. A lot of people believe he is the villain of the story of St. Nicholas and the Three Boys.
I did not look up that story when I did Santa. I apologize.
It's okay. I did not look it up for this case either, so I also apologize.
We suck.
We suck. Anyways, I got some small snippets of these stories, but they're not quite the stories. Also, trigger warning for cannibalism. Kendra's like glaring at my keyboard right now because she's huffing and puffing. Because we all know where this is going to lead. So, 3 lost young boys. I wrote are lost because I don't know what the fuck I'm writing. 3 lost boys are lost. That's what I wrote.
It's fucking Peter Pan, okay?
So, 3 young boys are lost. They knock on the door of a butcher shop, and he invites them in, only to murder them by chopping them into pieces and placing them into barrels of brine with pieces of pork. Long pig.
You know, some days I literally can't express all of my reasons for hating you.
The reason he did this is he wanted to get more money from selling his pork. He had actually heard another knock on the door, and when he went to go see who it was, when he opened the door, it was good old Saint Nick.
Oh no. That's bad timing.
Oh, no, I know, right? We all know what Saint Nick does when you're bad. You get coal.
Yeah. Well, you're at the top of my naughty list.
The butcher knew that Saint Nick was there for the boys. And Saint Nick doesn't even really say anything. He just walks right past the butcher and straight to the barrel. He asks the pieces of the boys to get up and go with him. And they all formed back into their original selves and came back to life. And as they stepped out of the barrel, they were speaking of their dreams of heaven that they had just had.
Dear Lord Jesus.
The butcher felt extremely guilty for what he had done to the boys and asked St. Nicholas, I hope I am forgiven. St. Nick basically explained God forgives all and that his remorse is all he needs to do to undo the sins for his crime. So the butcher was so grateful for St. Nick that he decided to stay with him for the rest of time and became his sidekick. That's just one of the stories.
France? What the fuck?
They get worse. Okay, so a story told since 1150. That's a long time ago.
That's in a couple hours, bro.
It is. Literally, it's 9:40. It's like 2 hours and 10 minutes away from right now, as we're recording.
Spooky.
Spooky. Is of a butcher who was so evil in nature that he had kidnapped 3 lost children. He killed them by slitting their throats, and he cut them up into pieces and placed them into salt tubs, which is basically doing the same thing. Brine. St. Nicholas was passing by and was invited inside. The butcher then offered St. Nick some of his most delicious meat. Long pig. But instead of eating the delicious meat, St. Nick brought the children back to life and returned them to their families. And before he left, St. Nick had an idea of how the butcher could repent for his sins. He took him along with him on his journey and made him Père Fouettard, or Father Whisper in English, and is now the bad cop sidekick of St. Nicholas, who is good cop.
I thought it was Father Whipper, not Whisper.
Oh, Whipper. Yeah, Father Whipper.
You said Whisper.
Oh, my bad.
Like, shh.
Whisper.
Secret.
Father Whipper. Shh. Oh, my goodness. You want to stuck your finger up my nose. You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can never pick your friend's nose.
Don't tell me I live my life. You're not my real mom.
How do you know?
That's fair. I don't have a DNA test. I tell my own mother that. And then she always just kind of goes, yeah.
yeah, I can see that. In 1552 to 1553, Père Fouettard, or Father Whipper, was created during the war between France's Henry II and the Holy Roman Empire. Oh, that was a weird noise my stomach made. I was like, They had burned the sculpture of Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire, and they were dragging it around the streets of villages. And then somehow they created a character called Father Whipper based off of this burnt sculpture. That was as much as I got from that.
Oh,
and I was
okay.
like, oh, okay.
Sure, I like the other two stories better.
Mm-hmm. Well, some versions are also about famine and how 3 boys had wandered out of their homes searching for something to eat. They became lost, running into a butcher, and then got cut up, saved later for the butcher's snacks. Long big.
You're about to get a smack on the mouth. I might not condone spanking children, but I condone spanking you.
Ooh, kinky. Some stories say it was 7 years after those children were murdered by the butcher that Saint Nick found out about the butcher's crimes. Others say that the
Sure. That's French.
And when Saint Nick found out, he brought the kids back to life. You know, same kind of ending. Butcher became his sidekick.
I didn't know that Santa had those powers.
Right? Maybe Santa is Jesus.
Why do we have cancer?
Wow, that was weird. Okay, I was not expecting that.
Instead, every year when he goes to the sick kids hospital
True.
to give their presents, he could solve all their illness by fixing them.
True.
And then we'd have no dead children. Santa, what the fuck?
Oh no.
I'm not believing anymore.
Oh no. There are some stories of the butcher's wife helping him. There are also some stories where it's an innkeeper that committed the crimes, not a butcher. And some lores say that St. Nicholas chained the butcher to his donkey and made him Père Fouettard, Father Whipper. Yeah. And that's how he had to repent for his sins, was being chained to a fucking donkey.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a few fun facts before we wrap up this weird case.
Like being stuck to an ass for your whole life.
You're stuck with me forever.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's
know.
what I mean.
I know.
I'm suffering.
I know.
I'm sassy when I'm sick.
Some fun facts before I wrap everything up is a not so fun fact before we get going is there are a lot of protests that have been happening over Père Fouettard or Father Whipper due to some people portraying him and dressing up in blackface.
Oh.
He is also known as Zwart Piet or Black Pete, the Dutch version of Santa's helper. And when they dress up as him, they paint their faces.
Oh.
That's why I put a trigger warning at the beginning for this, because I felt a little uncomfortable writing it, but I felt it was kind of, at the same time, important towards the case a bit, because it's like...
Happening now.
Yeah. Père Fouettard is also known as Hans Trapp along the French and German borders.
That sounds like an EDM band.
I was going to say a DJ.
Yeah.
TM, TM, TM. We're going to be a DJ called Hans Trapp. Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats. Some boots and cats. In the 1930s, Père Fouettard was made his way into America and was called Father Flog or Father Spanky.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right? Yeah.
I so wish that I could do like my girly porny voice and be like, oh, Father Spanky. But I don't know. Y'all,
Oh, Father Spanky.
Yeah, like
I can't do it.
I can't do it.
I'm not creepy like you are. I can't do it.
I pride myself on my creepy voice, and I just can't sound creepy. I mean, I can a little bit, but not so much. I feel like Phoebe on Friends in that episode where, like, she thinks that her raspy voice is sexy, and suddenly her singing career takes off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Smelly cat. There are Christmas cards basically saying season's greeting from the Christmas Cannibal.
Oh, Jesus. Please get me one next year.
Okay.
Okay.
And these cards have a creepy old man carrying terrified children crying and screaming. I have a picture that is going to be posted on the blog for us.
Okay.
Or Instagram.
Don't send me one, because I don't want my child to have nightmares.
I won't.
Okay, thanks. You just got an email for Amazon deals. You should check that out.
It was for dog collars.
Wow.
For Levy
For
Bone.
Nick.
No, for Levy. There are paintings in France of St. Nicholas with 3 children in a barrel.
Mm.
In 2008, there was a perfume that came out called Père Fouettard, and it smelled of whip leather, coal dust, gaufret, I apologize, and black licorice.
Ew.
Yeah.
That doesn't smell, or that doesn't sound like it would smell nice at all.
He was also featured as the antagonist in The Secret World of Santa Claus, but his name was Grzelbeard. The Secret World of Santa Claus is a French-Canadian animated show that was aired on Teletoon across Canada. Do you remember this show?
No.
I do.
No.
What the fuck? It also aired in a lot of European countries and Germany.
I do remember our creepy pineapple show, our French pineapple. That thing gave me fucking nightmares.
Yeah.
For our American listeners, go look up a French pineapple, and I swear to God, y'all are gonna regret it.
We'll post it on our Instagram page. There's a reason I don't like pineapple, okay?
Maybe that's why I don't like it.
Pineapple? Yeah, I don't like pineapple either. It's gross.
I like it on pizza, but other than that, I won't eat it.
The fuck is wrong with
I'll
you?
only eat it if it's like cooked.
Ugh. Not good at all. Anyways, that is my case. And again, I apologize for the little awkward fact that was in there, but because I had to talk about him being related to other Christmas creatures, I thought that I would throw that in. So, sorry, I'm a really awkward person, and I'm just awkward.
I feel like your case was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have went really well with my case last week.
Mm-hmm.
With the crimes and by Santa, like talking about Saint Nick and talking about this, I feel like they would have really meshed.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't know I was gonna do this until like a week ago, so.
Bummer.
And I got another kind of fun case next week. So, get excited.
Mine just keeps getting more and more murdery.
My next week case is a little lighter, but my Christmas case is just as dark, so...
Mine next week is about some dumbs. I'll give you that hint. It's about some dumbs. They was a dumb.
Alright guys, I think that's everything for this week. We'll get going so we can let Kendrah have a break. Give her throat a break for a second. Bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Oh.
Special thanks to Dylan Sears for the theme song and Sally Gunter for the cover art. Support us on Patreon and like, share, rate, and subscribe to us on all of our social media pages and your podcast streaming service. Do you have any personal stories or suggestions for the show? Email us at bloodgutsandbooze@gmail.com.